cinder, and never was he seen again. For at Attin he did plunder. The slowest, longest intro we've ever done. I thought of either that or what's he on about?
Or death by Airlock.
We all know Brutus is a capable first mate. Not even great. He's capable. He technically can do the job.
That's so great.
Oh, are we rolling?
Welcome back to the Star Wars Guys podcast. We are excited to dive into another episode review, episode 6 of Skeleton Crew. But we've also got some other things we're going to talk about after the review, so make sure to stick around and watch the full live
I
video.
can't wait to hear what those are.
Yeah,
Very excited.
Yeah, we're going to be 2025 wishes, right, Mike? Mike came up with the idea.
2025, a little happy New Year's to everyone who celebrates calendars.
Celebrates calendars.
We love
terrific
changing the calendar.
Yes, we love changing the calendar. My favorite year.
So far?
Favorite year. Yeah, good solid 2 days in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's see, this podcast could really make it 3 days in if it's a good morning.
True.
We're recording pretty early. This
True.
could set up the whole day for success here.
That's true.
But yeah, a lot of good Skeleton Crew stuff today. Only 2 episodes left.
Yeah, I know.
2 episodes left. But then after that,
Until season 2, hopefully.
season 10. I heard they greenlit for 10 seasons.
Just greenlit for 10.
Just straight to 10.
Acolyte had a petition with 100,000 signatures. Didn't get a second season, but Skeleton Crew, the creators, like, we might do a second one. They're like, no, you should. Here's 10.
Just go ahead and
do them all.
Keep doing them all.
No, that's not
Gotta
true.
beat strangers.
There's no word yet on the second season.
But
But
anyway,
love it.
we're excited
Just
to dive into it. We, we're looking forward to it. As always, we're your hosts, Mike.
hello there.
Myself, Nate. Hello there. And you know him well, Uncle.
At Attin. The best third mate you've ever seen.
What about equal time?
What about equal time?
What about their legs? No, that's not it.
Oh, man. So we always like to start off with some overall thoughts.
Overall thoughts?
I stole this
Episode
from Nate.
Yeah.
Like I stole the little intro.
Yeah,
right there.
take it.
Take it. Nate always was a good first mate.
Nate's stuck in Brutus voice, which I love.
Mike's like, we all Nate's a good first mate.
Hey, we all know Nate's a capable first mate.
Equal time, equal time, equal time.
So, directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
We always love a
Yeah.
Bryce Dallas Howard episode.
It was great. It was great.
It was a shorter episode,
It was.
Yeah.
but
They had to cut some cameos, I heard.
I had to cut some cameos. There was Jack Black originally he was supposed to be King Trash Crab.
King Crab.
King Crab. No, it's I'll just go ahead and give my overall thoughts to start off since I stole the intro there.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really, really love this episode. I know shorter episodes sometimes get me a little worried where I'm like, oh, man, I just know that
Is
as
it gonna
good as
feel
this episode's
complete?
going to be, I'm going to feel at the end of it as it could have been more. Like, that's how I
Yeah,
feel
you wanna-
sometimes in some
yeah.
previous shows.
Yeah.
Of, like, even a great, really short episode. Sometimes I'm just like, it just felt like incomplete. This episode, while it was fast, it was the shortest episode. I believe, what was this? I can't remember the length of the second episode because the first and second came out together.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was pretty short.
It was pretty short.
I think
So
it was
might have
shorter
been-
than this one.
Yeah, so that was, and it felt different that first time because you had the long episode followed by the short
Right.
in the same night.
Mhm.
But as far as standalone on release schedule, this was the shortest one yet. But I love, especially the more I've rewatched it, I really love this episode. I think it's some of the best emotional stuff they've done so far. We'll get into specifics. I think there's some payoffs for the kids.
Yeah.
It's a KB episode that we've been calling for that we
Yeah.
thought was going to come, but it was as good of a, like, I wanted some good KB moments, and we really got some, not just good emotional stuff and finding out, like, what makes her tick, like, what's, we know kind of the vibe of each of the kids because Wim is the, push button first, think later sometimes because he's big,
Yeah.
adventure.
Right.
Neil's a little more reserved, but just wants a friend.
Yeah.
Like he's,
Yeah.
and so because of that, he kind of goes along with what's going on. And then Fern is the
adventure.
is the seemingly fearless one, but we
Yeah.
know that there's more under the surface there. But she is
Yeah.
more of a daredevil, take charge, kind of acts older than the other kids in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And Fern has kind of been quietly kind of there and like had her moments, but we finally got an
KB.
episode to really. Sorry, KB. And
Yeah.
KB has been kind of there and had her moments. We finally got an episode where we get to know, and we'll get into the specifics, but we really get to know a lot about her medical situation.
Yeah, how she's different.
Yeah, and also like what that relationship with Fern is like as her best friend, and now what the relationship as a group, as a crew, how that transformed in this episode from two sets of best friends to a group of 4 friends. I love the intermingling of you two go off here, but it's not our normal two.
Right.
There's a conflict, and so they split up, but then these two get closer and help each other. These two get closer, and then they come back, and then at the end, they're also super capable. They hop in the ship, and now it's not Neil take the controls. Neil? It's like Neil's got it.
Yeah,
boom.
of course you did.
KB,
You did it
can
before.
do this?
You do it
boom,
again.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
He's taking the shooting, and I just loved it. I thought it was really, really great payoff, and then that overlaid with the Jod,
Seeing him come out of the
hilarious
sewer
with the jewels.
It looked
jewelry all
almost
over
like
him.
just like a sewer pipe, like in the street, just popping out of there with all the.
It's so weighted down with treasure, he can't even climb out.
Can't even climb
I've
out.
been looking
for you. And then
Han Solo.
and then 33
Found
comes
you.
out right after the same, also wearing the stuff,
Yeah.
and just immediately gets blasted.
Yeah.
Get up 33.
Great.
Get up
But
33.
I really love this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think?
Nate,
I agree. I loved it. I love it. It was great. We were looking forward to seeing Bryce Dallas Howard's episode. Thought she delivered.
Does she have any? This is the only one this season.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. But yeah, she delivered, and like you said, I mean, I don't need to reiterate everything you just mentioned, but got a lot of more emotional depth with the kids, with KB. We thought that may have been last episode. It ends up being this episode. So we're seeing the dynamic there of the kids, and then I love seeing, and we'll talk more specifically about some of these scenes, but Jod confront the pirate crew, his old crew, and basically trying to get them hyped up about this At Attin that actually exists, because I've seen,
And doing it to
hologram.
save his skin also.
and doing
'cause
it
he was
as a
doing
way
it
out, but
yeah.
also like, this is what we've
Yeah.
always wished for.
And this is probably the 10th time he's told him something like
Yeah,
this.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is he proposing?
This is the one we've
This is
always
it.
it's been right there. This is how
Yeah.
long have you been hungry?
Yeah.
Always hungry. Bruce doesn't want to admit it, but Bruce is starving.
Always starving.
He's also
He's licking his chops. Uncle, what'd you think? I asked him as he sips his drink.
I think that was a well-timed. That was intentional. That was for effect there.
It was fantastic. I cried twice, maybe 3 times. I'm trying to remember.
You cried. I think you cried when you saw the episode length. You cried
I
immediately.
did.
And then
Cried for sadness and cried for
I
joy.
cried when it ended.
It was a great way to end the year. It was on December 31st.
Yeah.
We watched it here,
Yeah.
which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm amazed. I remember when they made Star Trek Next Generation, when LeVar Burton had to wear that visor the whole time, and he said I can't see my eyes. An actor's eyes are everything, and she's doing it with no eyes.
Yeah.
Most of it.
Yeah, a lot of it.
KB.
Really
Very
good.
understated, very simple, and I know there's direction that's guiding her on how to do this, but it's remarkable. It's really great. And Fern has been a standout, of course.
Yeah.
But how does she do that without seeing her eyes the whole time?
Yes.
You can
it's
tell
working.
the emphasis
It's
on
great.
her
So
tone.
good.
It's great.
Because
It's so
without
it's
the
simple.
eyes,
It's simple. Yeah.
there's so much that in the dialect of how she's coming
Right.
across and what she's saying.
Yeah.
And you saw it come through the screen a lot on this before and after she got, her situation fixed
Right.
or whatever,
Right.
the battery, for, lack of a
Mhm.
better term, fixed.
Yeah.
You could see that emotion switch in her voice
Yep.
too.
For sure. And the person who needed to see this most wasn't even there.
Yeah.
Jod needed to see that.
Yeah.
He wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't
Yeah.
have. I mean, we kind of see his path, and their path is split a little bit. I do believe they'll come back at some point where he'll have a big decision to make.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he'll make the right. It might not happen this season,
Yeah.
but I think they will converge again where he has to choose between the kids and the treasure. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think they're all
And we'll
headed
see.
to At Attin.
We'll see. It may happen this
Potentially,
season.
I think this next episode,
Yeah.
everyone's heading finally to At Attin because she said, KB says, I'll have the coordinates and everything.
Yeah.
So she has them. They've got a ship.
Well, and they planned this story out without another season.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I think,
We have to
will.
have some sort of resolution in
I
this.
think it's
I
gonna.
think they will. This episode for Jod that ends with him, with essentially, they've his crew is still against him. Brutus is in charge, but Brutus, like when he's pushing up against the airlock and tells him he's got death by airlock, but he gives him one chance. We're gonna go find this treasure. If it's not there, you're dead. So they're heading there now. It feels like these guys took off after the trash crab stuff, and they're headed there. Feels like I want to start next episode with the parents, and they're still like trying to. And what's his name? Wendell is he's like really he's doing his best as an analyst. He's trying to do all this spy stuff, and he's trying to trick these droids. And then just out of the sky come crashing 2 ships. Oh, Fern. My name is not Fern. I am Brutus. And all of a sudden, it's just a bunch of pirates that have found the place.
Yeah.
Then you've got the kids who
Then
show
the
up,
kids
or
come
vice versa.
similar.
Kids show up, most likely kids show up first. Pirates right on their tail.
Yeah.
But
It'll
then
be
you have to
interesting to
deal
see-
with this, like the supervisor will probably
Yeah.
get some reveal there of like,
I'm interested
what
to
do we
see
do
how
with people
they
finding the planet now?
Yeah.
I think you had it the first time. If the kids arrive first, it looks like they led them there. That would feel like a bad thing to me.
Yeah.
Or they
Maybe
follow
not.
them there
They
and they're
follow
like,
them
oh,
there.
it was the kid's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the pirates arrive first, it looks like the kids
And then the kids show up
chasing
to
them to try to stop them. It
Yeah.
might have a different feeling.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
We'll see.
True.
I do think though that the kids are going to solve this before the parents figure out how to even.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it feels like the parents have been working on it and the kids are already on their way back.
They're on the way back.
Yeah.
They figured- yeah.
Yeah. I think, like Mike was just saying too, it'll be interesting to see how either the supervisor or just the planet, the droids, react to
Yeah.
outsiders.
Ship's coming.
How are they going to react to this is supposed to be hidden and now people are showing up?
Yeah.
Like, we can't let these people leave either.
Right.
Like, we've got to no loose ends. Essentially, is what this planet seems to be
Absolutely.
like. If they want the mint to stay the same without anybody knowing about that, they want the planet of At Attin to remain a myth. So I'll be interested to see how they react.
Do you guys think it's a coincidence that Brutus, well, from Shakespeare, we know, or
Two
not from
Brutus-
Shakespeare, but from history, we
Yeah.
know that Brutus is the betrayer of Caesar,
Yeah.
stabs him and kills him.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's possible that Brutus actually kills Jod?
I think it could be.
I
Could
mean,
be.
because they didn't plan on another. I don't know.
I
It's
think there's a version of
Yeah.
this where,
kind of an interesting.
yeah,
He's
I
the
think
second
there's
guy.
also a version of. There's definitely a possibility. I think that. I would say, if any of our main characters, aside from Brutus's crew, because like Brutus could be killed, any of those kind of other pirates could be killed. But as far as I don't think the kids are in danger really of
No.
dying. I
Right.
would
No.
say
So.
this. I do think Jod is the only one that I would say
Maybe not.
Could.
Yeah.
could not. He could even sacrifice himself. He could be trying to protect him, and something
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
Could.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying it's necessarily likely or unlikely, but it is possible. Like he
Yeah.
just feels like he's also. I also sometimes let my real world stuff sometimes creep into this. of
Yeah.
like,
I would.
He's
I
a
am
big
too.
he's a
I would
big
say I don't
movie
think they will.
actor.
I don't think they will.
Yeah. Sometimes I think he's a big movie actor. If they would do a second season, he's such a big draw.
It would be nice to have.
do it.
Yeah.
But then there's also sometimes when I see like a show or a limited series or something, and there's a big name actor, I also wonder, oh, that's a movie guy. How long can they keep him on the show?
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
I do that same thing
Yeah.
of like I feel the
God.
opposite of like, oh, he might be.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
That's what I've had a little bit of
True.
this feeling.
Oh, there's KB. Yeah.
Through
a lot
2
of.
seasons were good. I love the show Shrinking, which is on right now.
Yeah, I gotta watch that one.
And Harrison Ford is one of the main characters. And through 2 seasons, I'm always scared of like, I wonder how long Harrison Ford's going to be on here
Can't
because he's
keep going.
incredible. He is so good at some of the best. Harrison, it's crazy to say like this is some of the best I've ever seen of Harrison Ford. This is some of the best acting I've ever seen of Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I've never seen him be this comedic, not in a Han Solo comedic way, different comedically, while also delivering these monologues and these moments that, like, literally, I'm watching an episode yesterday, and Abigail and I are in tears listening to Harrison Ford talk.
Yeah.
And he's like, so that, not to get sidetracked, but that's so sometimes I get a little bit of like, oh, if they need if they do a second season, man, he would be great for marketing the show. He's such Jude Law is such an incredible actor. I think he's crushing it in this role.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
even
great.
just when he's
been
talking
great.
to the pirates, and he's still like a little. He's not just calm, cool, and collected. He's like a little manic sometimes too. Of like he's explosive. I'm hungry. You're just like, oh my goodness, this is just an
Becomes a
actor
full
on set
pirate.
doing
I
this.
know.
So sometimes I wonder if that's. Do I think if they had a second season they need him, or do I think, oh, because he's a big actor and he's a movie star, he only signed on to one season because his schedule wouldn't allow more.
Maybe.
You never know. But
Could be.
I have
It's a
no
big
idea.
one for him.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
I
I'm
love
watching
it.
I'm watching the
Great.
kids on here. The scene where KB's getting the new battery. They
it's one of my
did pull the
favorites.
visor up for most of that, which is good.
Yeah.
It's interesting because a lot of the show is about the trajectory of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they going? Who are they?
Yeah.
And I'm watching Fern when she realizes Neil can't climb. That's the whole problem with her and KB. She can't.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't realize
She's
it.
assuming everybody can do that.
She's
So
assuming
she
everyone can
stops.
do what she did.
Yeah.
She finds a solution to help
Mm-hmm. She ties him
instead of just saying get on the boat or get off.
Yeah.
She helps.
She doesn't
and-
send him back.
No.
Yeah.
She says, no, you can do it. We just need to figure
Let's
out
figure
how.
out a way to do it.
Yeah.
And Wim, who pushes all the buttons and acts too quickly, had to solve this problem with
Yeah.
a little bit of tact, a little bit of patience. Like, wait, what? Can't
Yeah.
just start clicking buttons. Can't just start pushing
Need
stuff.
you to listen
Mhm.
and do this very accurately and not just.
And I love
KB couldn't
KB's.
fix herself.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
the tech, but couldn't fix herself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
there's
I love
a lot of these
KB.
elements.
I also love because when we're watching it live, and they separate, I'm thinking what this show consistently does is they have the characters ask questions that I'm asking,
Yeah.
which I think is really good writing. Wim says to her, "Why don't you just tell Fern that?"
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then her great, again, this is what the whole episode's about, the zero friends again. What this episode kind of reveals, we don't know the exact timeline, but she hasn't always had this
She hasn't always
situation.
had
She
an
had some sort of
accident.
an accident.
Yeah.
This is essentially like someone who was, essentially in the Star Wars version of, it feels like someone who would be paralyzed
Mm-hmm.
and had this procedure
Mm-hmm.
that helps her body not lock up and gets still
Mhm.
complete use of her body. And Fern and her, I think, were already really good friends. And this episode proves that she is still the same person and same good friend to Fern that
Mhm.
Fern knows she is. But Fern doesn't recognize that just because you're the same person doesn't mean you can do all the same things you used to be able to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
And KB, I love that not only does Fern not recognize that, she doesn't want to tell Fern that because she feels like, but that's Fern's thing. And if
Mhm.
I can't keep up with Fern, she's just going to leave me behind.
yeah.
Right.
And so, like, it's such good writing of
It is.
like, not just,
KB was
it's-
wrong too.
Which whether
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
reality is
but that's
true.
what she was
She is
thinking.
now.
And
Yeah.
in the moment, though,
Yeah.
early on in that moment, because KB had some, she wasn't fully way off about that, because Fern also at the beginning of this scene or the beginning of this episode had a little bit of this, like, I'm just thinking of the way out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not thinking about what, because she actually, it's funny because I even wrote
Can
down that
everybody come with me?
she even asked, like, oh, I don't know if Neil, Fern said, I don't know if Neil, like, Neil's going to say, I don't know if Neil can climb. And KB's like, thinking, like, you're not even thinking about me.
Yeah.
Like, my
What about
systems
me?
are shutting down, and you're suggesting that we rock climb is the way to, like,
and
are
if
you
it
even
happens
thinking about
there,
I can't do
I
it?
just fall.
Then I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
you're not thinking about that. And then
Yeah.
Fern gets frustrated, not thinking about that. She's
Yeah.
thinking about, why are we not doing the obvious thing
Can
for
I
the
throw
mission?
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
It's actually a massive compliment in a way, because she doesn't think of KB as has any disability.
Yeah.
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 Now it could be the other way. Are you KB? Are you okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Can
Can
you
you
do this?
can
Totally.
you make it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
also not good.
No.
Yeah.
So
I
in a
think there's a middle
sense,
ground
it
there
is-
for sure.
She doesn't even think about it, which
Yeah.
is kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a line.
Yeah, there's
you
a-
should also understand.
Understand.
Totally.
But it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
want to
KB
give
communicates
Fern
that
the
too.
benefit of the doubt that
Yeah.
she does forget.
Yeah.
And that in some ways that's
and
it's kind of a
part of
compliment.
KB's part of Fern's story is they teased it with her being the leader, being the captain.
That's right.
With 33.
Yeah.
So part of her story in this is filling the shoes of being a leader of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see her trying to make these calls and not everybody's in agreement, and she kind of is like, all right, well, I guess we're splitting up,
That's
sort
it
of thing. Then that kind of comes back at the end of the episode when they reunite and she's realizing, like, no, that's not the way to do things.
Mm-hmm.
We need to lead, like, the problem solving with
Yeah.
Neil. Like,
Mhm.
that's what the captain does. That's what a leader does, is find the resolution, find out how to resolve an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And we see her kind of stepping into that role a little bit.
Yeah, and so I think I like it because I feel like each of them, if you think of their perspective there, the storytelling there is not Fern is really wrong and KB's really right, or KB's really wrong and Fern's really right. It's like they're
Each need to listen to each other.
They each need to listen to each other,
Yeah.
and they each have their strengths. And it's not that we need to baby any of you because you're all super capable, but also as a leader, know whether you're constantly saying it in a way that's like, oh, you okay? Know the strengths of your team.
Yeah.
Know the abilities. Know what they are, and then if Neil can't climb because he's got big elephant hoofs, we tie him on and we ask Neil, are you good?
Can you make it? Are you good?
I'm good.
This is
all
great.
right, then let's go.
And when the show started, they said it's not a kids show. It's a show for adults with kids as the lead. Those messages were for us.
Yeah, that's
they were.
Sure.
The kids were talking to us.
Yeah,
kinda. I mean, they're talking to everybody, but it was a good lesson for us to hear.
Can we also talk? Oh, did you have something?
I was just gonna say the last thing about Kate B was I think it's interesting how
Wim's plan was horrible, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
We're watching in the background here. There's so many good moments here.
Even if that's not the reality of Fern, like Fern doesn't seem like the type of friend that would just she seems really close with KB.
Yeah.
There's no reason for the viewer to feel like she would actually ever do that and just leave her and be like, oh, we're not friends anymore.
No,
she doesn't seem like she would actually do that. So even though that's not necessarily the reality of what she would actually do, that is how kids think, though.
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting you in the shoes of that. That's how kids think.
Yeah.
They're like, well, if I can't do that, that's why we're friends. If I can't do this, she doesn't.
That's it.
Not going to want.
She wouldn't want to do it with me.
Yeah. So I think it kind of also brings that element into it as well.
One of my favorite things about this show, and there's so many things, because it is, again, we still have 2 episodes left. It's definitely, I can say right now that it's definitely one of my favorite live-action Star Wars
things they've done. There's so much depth to the characters.
One of my favorite things about this show is that the writing in it is that the kids talk like kids in a great way. We've said it before on here, and I'll probably say it again before the end of the season, that we've all watched shows where some kid comes in and says something, and me as a dad or just someone who's been around kids is like, I wonder if this writer does not spend a lot of time around kids, because that just like, it's not like that they wouldn't say that, it's like they wouldn't say it in the Shakespearean monologue that you said. Like, the kids don't talk like that.
It was tied up pretty cleanly.
I loved. I wrote down some of these favorite quotes of mine from this episode. I mean, like, going straight to the end of the episode when Wim is shooting.
Wim is a perfect example.
Wim is shooting at the trash crab, at the final trash crab like demolition thing that's eating the ship, and he just is shouting, "It's too invincible!" Like that's such a kid thing. Like it's not invincible, it's too invincible.
Too invincible.
It's just too invincible. And he's just yelling. I'm like, that's a great line.
Yeah.
I love the whole Wim trying to figure out who the good guys are. Is some of my favorite stuff in here.
Oh yeah.
Neil.
How come every time I try and figure out the good guys, I'm wrong?
Neil said, like the X-wings fly over. And it's also a great moment for the characters, because these kids are growing up. Mm-hmm. As far as like the naivete, they're a little less naive. Also towards, it's becoming a little bit clearer maybe that how Jod had manipulated them in some ways.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that means they think that he's pure bad. I don't think that they're like, so Jod's terrible. But now that they've been betrayed by him, he goes, Neil had the good, but Jod said X-Wings were bad. And because Kim,
you mean the guy that held a knife to my throat?
Yeah.
Kim the owl was like, yeah, let's send help. And he said, oh, those are Kim's goons. We got to get out of here. And they're like, oh, really? Okay. And they talked about it in here again. He said X-wings are bad, and Wim goes, Wim watches and goes, no, they're the good guys. And it's like that's again the kid like you don't hear a lot of you don't hear in Andor. It's just I think it's not even that's bad writing. It's just different. There's not kids. So you don't hear him go, no, we're the good guys. We're the bad guys. The kids go, them. Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys?
It's also an indictment of the time period because when Mando faces the X-Wings, who are you rooting for?
That's true.
Wait a minute. Are they? Wait.
Even
they are the good guys.
Yeah.
But they're also... Mando is a bad guy. Good guy?
Yeah.
I love it. And then Wim later said, when the trash... When Wim has such a good... He has an Ezra moment. He trusts the locals. Except the opposite of the opposite of the Ezra moment. Wim has no idea these are trash crabs.
Let's follow the crabs and they'll lead us
out. And he goes and they lead him to a king trash crab. Right. And then they turn around and he's like,
we're food.
I think we're in danger. And the crab's going, danger, danger. You're like, oh no. And then
Wim
shouts out and says, how come I'm always wrong about who's the good guy? It's such a good, always wrong about who's the good guy.
And now their ship is like,
brand new.
Well, that's what I said. This is a pirate ship needs storage. They need a place to stow the cargo. But if they can get rid of that, they're just leaking.
Emergency hull demolition sequence.
There you go.
From the first, going back to the second episode.
Just
get rid
of the outer hull.
Never ever touch that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
it turns it into a
also, I
sleek
like
starship
the writing here. It's not that Wim, who wanted to push it the whole time, gets to push it now.
Right.
It's Fern has to push it, and everyone's like, "Oh, we're not supposed to push it." Now Fern's the one who initially was like, "Don't do that. Don't what are you doing? Are you a child?" Now it's her having to take the leap of faith of like, "I think we're in trouble, guys. This is I think
this is
the only way out here." I love it.
Demolition sounds a little bit like self-destruct.
Totally.
Yeah.
But just the outside.
It's just.
And that ship now is...
And now they got a sleek starship.
Well, I didn't catch it the first time either.
Doesn't look like a pirate ship anymore. Now
no,
it just looks like
I didn't catch it when Wim here. They cut to Wim at the top saying, I call claimsies on the new ship. That's what they cut it right there. He says it right there. I wrote it down. Claimsies on the new ship. As they're
claimsies, and they're in it.
That's it.
It's true. It's a new ship.
I love it.
That's so great.
There's just so many good... so many great lines. I loved when KB is getting worked on. We talked about the moments for each of our characters and just the character, the growth and everything. And she said, I wrote down. Yeah, she said, you probably thought, she tells Wim, you probably thought it'd be more exciting saving someone's life. And then she looks at him and goes, thanks, Jedi. And like walks away. And he's like, thought like, so this is, and it's a good moment for him of, you tried your lightsaber moment 2 episodes ago, or an episode ago, or whatever. That's not,
you tried your heroic moment.
You don't need to be the Jedi you think you need to be. You can be a Jedi by helping people.
Yeah. That's what he said at the beginning. I want to help people.
Yeah, I want to help people.
There you go.
I just love it. There's so many. There's so many rich character moments.
Yeah, there are a lot of rich character moments, and I think even with especially with the kids, there's a lot of depth that's coming through the screen of the characters, and it's been phenomenal.
And our first Star Wars sea shanty ever.
True.
Dare I say space shanty? For at Attin he
did plunder. And they all know it too. They all start.
Yes. I also love that he clearly knows the last line.
And what is that?
And what's the last line? For at Attin he did plunder. For at Attin he did plunder.
It's so great.
It's just
At Attin.
It's so
all
good.
Coming to At Attin. Who'd have thought the Manoverse, all roads lead to At Attin?
Don't let him know about this place.
Or any of the people he knows.
He'll run it.
Grief Karga, unfortunately, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. Grief Karga would have been all over At Attin.
Oh my gosh.
Dude wanted some credit so bad.
He would have been, I think I'm done with the guild.
Let's get to
Turns out
I'm out of the guild.
Turns out the High Magistrate's not a job I want. He's going back.
He pulls a boba.
He's going back. Yeah, boba. Actually.
Turns out there's better things than being crime lord.
Oh man! Oh, I wrote Neil or Wim said, "Neil, that was amazing." And Neil goes, "We're getting really good at falling."
Yeah, he did say that.
Really good at falling.
Really good at falling.
And then Fern or KB, one of them says, "Let's hope that's the last time." I love
It is. It's just a joy. It's just a fun,
It is.
a fun roller coaster ride to go on.
That's great.
Anything else for any predictions for next episode or even the last 2 episodes before we?
I do you think we get 2 episodes on At Attin?
I think they get 2 At Attin next episode. I
I
don't
think-
know if it'll be the majority of the episode on At Attin. I do think we get 2 At Attin
Yeah.
next episode.
I think
I think it might be the majority of the
It
episode.
could be.
Because
I
don't
think
where
so.
else-
There's
I
2
mean,
episodes left.
unless something happens that intersects the kids, they're in the
Right.
ship.
Yeah.
And KB says, "I know how to get there."
Yep.
So they're in the ship.
I
It seems
think
like
they
they'd
are-
be. It seems like that's they're going there right now.
it feels like when the pirates get there that they're going to rally their friends, and the kids are going to come and have a plan to defeat the pirates.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents are gonna be like, "Who are you? How? What?" They'll have a reunion, and the kids will go, "No, we know what to do. We got it. We know what to do.
Yeah.
We know what to do." And the kids are kind of leading the charge. to
Or
defeat
they're
the-
here for this.
and they
They're here
defeat
for
and they defeat
here
the
for the
pirates,
mint.
and they
yeah.
either get rid of the ships, or it opens their eyes to opening the planet, or
And
I don't know.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
this episode had the kids all come together as a foursome, as a
Yeah.
group, tightly knit. They each have their roles. When they hop in the ship, we talked about earlier, and they each, boom, Wim goes to the cannon. KB's actually doing all the stuff. I love the moment when KB's like, they're like, "Does anyone know how to remember how to do that?" And she's like, "I think I got it."
I got it.
Boop,
Click,
boop, 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 boop,
click,
boop,
click.
And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, Fern lights up.
Like
She's like,
yes.
"We're gonna get out of here."
Yeah.
We
And
can do it.
so they're all so
Who's gonna
capable
fly?
and confident right now.
Yeah, well, who's gonna fly?
They're gonna have this great moment where they defeat the pirates, or they come up with a plan, or they do something where they probably with the help of Jod in the moment. I
Yeah.
think they defeat the pirates, but then the big twist is they're gonna go out in the desert to Tatooine, and they're gonna be looking off, just the 4 of them, and there's gonna be a old woman who walks by and goes,
Who are you?
and then they all
I'm
turn
Neil.
and they go.
That's it. The whole show.
Fern goes, "We're skeleton," and she goes, "Skeleton who?" And then she goes, "Skeleton crew." And then it just ends. It's Skeleton Skywalker. No, Skeleton crew. I really wanted a Bond
every
James
show
Bond, but
ends-
the name's Crew. Skeleton Crew.
True. What does that mean?
Here's a question: are these for the Skeleton Crew? Like, is that their thing, or is the Skeleton Crew just the crew that died that was all skeletons? And now
Oh,
they
I think
took
it's a
the
play
mystery.
on words.
That's the thing.
It's called
Or
the
does this
skeleton- you know.
become the Skeleton Crew? Is these
Yeah.
4 plus Jod once Jod comes to
Yeah.
his senses?
Of course,
I
the
also
skeleton crew would be a ship that it's understaffed. That's a
It's true.
skeleton
That's
crew.
a Skeleton Crew also.
So it
Which
feels like
this is a
Yeah.
Skeleton
it
Crew.
feels like
It's
that much
Yeah.
understaffed.
this
Yeah.
is. They're just
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
trying to survive. They're
we
also.
didn't see we didn't see 33 after he got blasted.
I know.
We didn't see him with
True.
John. So
Is he
Well-
still sitting there with all the jewelry on him? Is just
where is he at?
They'll revive him.
And what? Yeah, I wonder what that's
Oh,
gonna
man,
look like.
how's he gonna get back? Did they got one of the ships right? Did they get one of the ships? Did they blow up one of them?
Oh, they did.
They did,
One of
yeah,
the
yeah,
pirate
yeah.
ships?
Yeah.
yeah, they did.
So
They
they're bringing
blew up one of
one
them.
ship back to At Attin.
Yep.
Yeah,
They
They
blew up
blew
one
up.
of them.
yep, they did.
So they'll just
Uh,
replace the other one. They'll bury it in the sand, bury it in the dirt, and they'll just
Yeah.
Keep going.
put it right back with the other one.
I was also thinking too. We didn't see Jod with the lightsaber at
They
all.
took
this
the
episode.
lightsaber from the Brutus's crew has the lightsaber.
So
right
it's
there.
now.
Yeah.
So it's there. I think there's a moment we could see.
could have-
Are we gonna see him with the Force? Are we gonna? Yeah. The run.
Jod's doing the
Jod's
Jack
doing
Sparrow
it.
run.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It does come to mind. Oh, we didn't take any scenes directly from any of the Amblin stuff. We're just more inspired by it. 30 seconds later.
It's
Sliding
exact
down
scene.
the-
Yeah.
I mean,
I love it.
it's hard to when you see that to not go. Chris, that's from Goonies, right?
Yeah.
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 Oh, it's
Ford's like, it's Goonies. Yeah.
I told you, it's gonna be hilarious when I'm trying to think of who would be the best character to deliver the hey you guys from Goonies. Like if it would be
33.
great if 33 does it. It'd be so weird if like one of our kids does it because like it's so not there. Like Fern's just sitting there going, "Oh, you guys,
Hey, you guys.
You're like, wow, she has range as an actress.
Man.
This is just all of a sudden sounding like a one-eyed monster.
Awesome.
Well, not one-eyed. I guess he's got the eye here and the
Yeah.
He's got the
Sloth.
He's got the eyes there. Sloth. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think the predictions. I like. I think that we'll get more parent stuff too.
I think they get back on the next one,
Yeah.
and it's all about getting down and how they're going to try to find the.
Yeah.
And then the planet and the kids rally to defeat the pirates on the planet.
Do you think we get supervisor?
I was just
reveal?
gonna ask that same question. Do we think we get that next episode or at all? I kind of think we do overall.
I do, but
Maybe.
I think it may be a last episode.
And I don't think it's a big reveal necessarily. Maybe like, oh, and the supervisor is Mr. Jenkins from the convenience store. Oh, I would have got away with it. It wasn't for you meddling kids. Like I don't think it's someone we know, maybe.
We do.
But we're gonna finally see. We finally whoever it is that's in charge at Attin has to kind of step into the fold here, or we find out that no one's really in charge.
Yeah, it's just the robots.
A Wizard of Oz.
I do think it's funny that Star Wars you go to the planet, but if you came to Earth, like how would you ever find?
No,
that?
exactly.
Like
They go
how would you
straight
find that?
here. They go straight
Yeah.
to the exact.
Spot.
It's always the
So,
exact.
but
we
that's
go
fine.
to Tatooine. We end up
You end up
on
in the town
the
of.
exact. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not
But
on
that's
the complete
fine.
opposite
I mean,
side,
it'll be
but I
cool.
get it.
They'll try to get to the mint and
That's
they'll
the
fire
Yeah.
them off.
That's next episode. They show up on the opposite side of the planet. Ah,
Man,
We
it's
gotta
so
fly
cold here.
around.
Well, wrong thing. Let's leave.
Oh.
They're like at the
You
North
end up
Pole.
on
This
Earth
doesn't
and
look
you're like,
like-
well, it's here. Okay, good. The rest of your lives, good luck. You're on the
Finding it.
planet.
You're gonna fly
You
around
spend the rest of
forever.
your lives trying to find it. Like,
Although with the ship, you
Yeah.
can fly pretty
you
far.
can do it.
There's
Yeah.
lights down there.
I love it. I love it.
all right. I think anything
Start-
else for Skeleton Crew before we talk 2025 Star Wars?
There could be a little tie in there.
Can't
maybe,
wait.
Could be.
Could be a
I'd
little tie.
It ties into my 2025 desire.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's start doing it. So the idea for this next part of the podcast, New Year's, the new year of these aren't even necessarily New Year's resolutions because this is not. We don't have the power to do some of this stuff. Like this is more of like a wish list.
I don't know.
Maybe we do have the power.
My
Fans have a
power-
lot of power nowadays.
We do.
I will,
Yeah.
in all of my power, I will try to make every Star Wars show as expensive as Andor.
That's awesome.
That's his. This is why he. That's a good leader. That's a good leader. right there.
why. That's why you make a show.
That's it.
To make a
So
budget
who wants
high.
to kick us off here? Star Wars in 2025.
I will.
Uncle
All
Scott.
right. Uncle.
I
What is your
want
wish?
an announcement that says Skeleton Crew Season 2 is
Yeah.
going forward.
I would love that announcement.
Do you think it's possible we get that shortly after the success of
I think
Skeleton
so.
Crew? I think so.
Which is weird because the viewership was less, right? Am I
Less
wrong?
than I don't know what it's less than.
Acolyte, at least when it started.
Oh, I think it's more than Acolyte. Maybe,
Acolyte
but I'm
was
not
massive
sure.
when it started and then it trailed off.
I think
Yeah,
Acolyte
it
had the
was.
biggest drop
but
off
they got
on the show. They said.
sabotaged, man. They got sabotaged.
They definitely
Yeah.
did. They definitely did.
Yeah.
There's never
More
been
than Andor, right?
Yeah, I think
I think it had more than Andor to start.
to
and then it
start. I
dropped,
don't know
and
how
then
it finished,
dropped.
but I know Andor at the time was significantly less viewership
Yeah,
than
it
the other
was.
Yeah.
shows that had come out
But
at
I
the
think
time.
Right,
since
right.
then it had turned around because everyone became, oh well, this
I
is
think,
yes,
Andor's
people
the
have
best
come to
show.
it
Oh, well,
late.
Andor's the best show. It's like
Andor also got
But I
nominated. We almost forget. Andor got nominated for best drama. Like
Mhm.
that's I don't think any other Star Wars show has gotten nominations for.
They
They get
won.
design and stuff.
I
But
want my nominations.
yeah,
I
it's-
need my nominations. I think that might be pushing that one.
I want my scalps.
I want my scalp.
Yeah,
A little Jim Bridger.
I
Mountain Man Jim
love
Bridger.
I love this show. So I absolutely would love a second season.
yeah.
The realistic time period of it is that it would probably be a few. It would be a few years. I think
would
they've
be.
said.
Yeah.
The kids would have to be at a
Little
different
teens.
stage of their life a little bit, but
Fern turns to an actual
Sounds
great.
pirate.
Yeah.
That's right. Jod is what? He's just Grandpa Jod next time. He's just like 20
He's got
years
his
from now.
bell.
Neil's just running the mint.
Wing, wing, wing.
Neil's just running the mint. he's
Neil's-
running the mint.
Neil's
He's running it all.
Neil's full blown like
Supervisor.
Neil's
Supervisor.
full blown adult elephant.
Trunk.
Everybody
Just
walks around
lives in the
saying, I'm
zoo.
sorry.
Just walking on all
That's
fours.
it.
Hey, if Neil ran the planet, it would be a lot better place.
He's just
Sure.
always Why did you just say you're sorry?
Come on.
There's a galactic conflict between the
Why are
Empire,
you fighting?
between the Empire and the Republic. Did Tarkin just say he was sorry? That's the whole
I
thing
love
would
it.
be.
Neil's
Just say
so
you're sorry.
innocent.
I love it.
He's so innocent.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Other
You may
20-
fire when I say I'm
2025?
sorry. What'd you say?
other 2025 wishes.
Oh, we've got more. So, I love that one. It's a great start off. My one of my wishes for Star Wars 2025. It's kind of a big one.
25. I said
Star
20.
Wars.
Did I say 24? I think I said.
You might have.
You
Get
might
with
have.
the times.
We'll cut. We'll
Man.
edit that out.
Is
It's not like it's live.
I would love an actual released to the public, which I think we'll get, obviously. So this is not a huge stretch. But the movie doesn't come out till the following year.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for a released full trailer
Oh yeah.
for The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Mandalorian, yep.
I know there's
Yep.
leaked footage, there's stuff.
I can see-
Obviously,
yeah.
They showed
with
a little
this
bit.
being
yeah.
a May release for
Mhm.
Mandalorian and Grogu, we will get a trailer.
Yeah.
It's just, it's going to happen. But I would love it. I would say I would love it by Tokyo. Like I would love it by not at the end of the year, but a good we're a year out.
Yeah.
We know they have the footage because they showed it last year. They
Yep.
showed some footage of it
They
last
showed-
year
yeah,
before
a
they
little
were
bit.
done. Now I would love to see even again. It feels like the days are gone from Force Awakens. They came out with a trailer 15 months before
Yeah,
it came
that's
out.
crazy.
That is crazy. But also,
Then Spider-Man No Way Home
15
came out with a trailer
days.
a
none.
month. It was a month before.
Yeah. Solo didn't have a
Crazy.
trailer for until 3 months before the show before the
Yeah.
movie came
That's
out.
so crazy.
But I do feel like the circumstances again kind of it feels like from the even though Star Wars has not been away from the film side, it feels a little bit closer to that. Not quite when we've done the math before of the number of years. It's not quite Force Awakens, Revenge of the Sith, Force Awakens, but it is now. We'll be on 7 years without a Star Wars movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
When this one comes out.
Right.
That I think having a year in advance of a trailer, if it's ready to go, again, don't rush it, but they'll have plenty of time.
Got to give us a tease.
Give us something
the
that
peak.
we can really
Yeah.
get super excited
Yeah.
for, not just an announcement of something again, or oh yeah, this is it, but give us the footage that puts everyone at
I think
ease,
that could be.
especially with the lack of
Yeah.
other Star Wars movies out there. Just getting the actual footage,
Yeah.
you can kind of get really, really excited about. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that, but I'm hoping that comes in the first half of the year. So that's why I say the celebration kind of
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense. That would
That
be
makes
fun.
sense.
Yeah.
My
I've got some
wish-
more, though, for
My
sure.
wish, or one of them, is also an announcement for a new.
Should have had Rascal
We're
Flatts.
so low.
And
I
New-
love that
this
too.
is my wish.
We're
Yeah.
not hoping for shows. We just want them to tell us.
Tell
the
us
show.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
I've got something like this too.
An announcement and a title even for the next animated show.
Ooh,
Oh.
I was going there too.
Yeah.
The next
'Cause
animated
it's been
show.
a minute. We don't have.
Bad Batch
Bad
is
Batch
gone.
ended.
I know it.
I want another Clone Wars style, animated style show,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd love to get an announcement on what that would be.
Don't you think at some point that we haven't had any episodic? I love that. Episodic. Like you used to have a show where it was a group of people doing a thing, but it wasn't like a straight storyline.
Yeah. They
Stuff
do the
would
thing, they
happen
go.
and things would come and go.
Yeah.
It didn't fit into anything.
Mhm.
Couldn't they have a show, either an animated show or something, where it's these people do stuff, and everyone's a different thing, and they're doing
Yeah.
different stuff
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that'd be
with
great.
one overall. I'm thinking Star Trek Voyager way back. They had
Totally.
one overarching mission that
Yeah.
was so unattainable,
Yeah.
but along the way they were doing things.
Yeah.
It was a week to
Yeah.
week, not a
Week to
not a
week.
necessarily
Yeah.
you end on
Yeah.
a cliffhanger and then it's head to this and
I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
because they
I
never.
would like
I don't
that.
think have they done that with anything.
Not to what's
they've
funny
done. You've got
what's funny is
The Clone
most,
Wars and stuff, they had little arcs.
They
They
did.
had 3-episode arcs and
They did.
things like
that's
that.
similar.
There's some Bad Batch that felt like that a little
Yeah.
early on because it's kind of they weren't really tied to the bigger galactic thing yet.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where as far as where it just then all of a sudden they go see Sid and then they're at this racing
How does that work
planet
anymore?
and there's that and it's
Those shows are still on TV, like all those emergency shows and
tons of
rescue
those.
shows. That's what those are.
Yeah, exactly. There's just the
So-
thing of the week. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would be down for that for sure. I like that.
Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah.
Cool.
Next
Animated show. All right.
I would like. I want a title. I want to know what the time frame is, who the characters are for
Is
the animated
Celebration
show.
going to do anything like that where they throw out a bunch of stuff again?
Well,
I don't know. I think they'll be a little more hesitant.
I am so curious as to what this celebration
like
is gonna be
they-
like, because it feels like they
I feel like
need
to an
some
extent
stuff.
they have to always have something.
Mhm.
I mean, that's part of the biggest draw of Celebration is being there with the cast of people that come out when
Yeah.
things are announced.
Right.
Having the different panels.
There's a little bit of pressure because of that too. Like, ooh,
Definitely
Yeah.
what are we going to tell them?
Yeah.
Gotta
What are we
have
going to
something.
announce?
And so I feel like even if it's less, and even if it's fewer announcements than they've had at celebrations in the past, I feel like there will still be things announced that are brand new that we
Yeah.
haven't heard of. Or maybe there's been rumors of these things, but then we're
Mhm.
like, okay, we're confirming this is like
Right.
if it's Lando or something, they'll be like, okay, this is you've
Lando.
heard Donald Glover talk about it,
Lando system.
but then they actually like, oh, yes, Donald Glover's doing this.
Yeah.
And then that's just an example, but I think they will have some things like that. I don't know if it'll be more, maybe less than in the past, but I think they'll have some of that.
I think so.
Yeah. And we got another one. I've got another one
Go.
I'll throw out there.
Yeah.
This is kind of a big one. With the announcements in Star Wars 2025, I would love. This is kind of a two-parter, but they kind of go hand in hand. I would love. I think we all would love a little bit less of the. Something is announced, then a year goes by or 6 months goes by, and there's not really kind of any movement on it, or there's not a ton of. It feels like stuff is prematurely announced sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden people go, "Oh, now a year's gone by. Is there?" And then
Sure
there's
happen.
grumblings of,
Mhm.
Is it
"Well,
happening?
they tried. They couldn't get a script down." and
yeah, yeah.
So we've talked before of. I would love there to be a little bit more of, like we've made jokes before of. It's felt like, with some of these script ideas. And we love Mangled, so I really hope the Mangled movie happens.
Yeah.
For sure. Because I really like Dial of Destiny, and I like the other James Mangold movies a lot. But James Mangold even said, like, recently, like, yeah, we don't have a script, like, we're still working on. So
Yeah.
we've made jokes that it
Yeah.
kind of felt like back then, okay, a couple years ago, did they have Mangold go up on stage and like, Mangold's doing a movie, and then he gets off stage and they go, so what should it be about? We're like,
Yeah.
well, maybe
Well,
let's figure that out. before we
right.
announce.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that there's some of that, but my specific wish would be in that vein. I would like there to be an announcement this year about the next movie after Mandalorian and Grogu, but not just okay, here's a press release, here's in Variety, but like Lucasfilm get out ahead of it, because a lot of these things, there's a report. Clearly, Lucasfilm has people who have like leaked stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, oh,
Yeah.
put this in Variety, put this in Hollywood Reporter, that this is the next movie.
Yeah.
I want there to be, maybe it's a celebration, not just here's the next movie, here's what it is, but here's the next movie. Here's a little bit about the movie. You don't need to give us all the plot.
Yeah.
But don't just say, here's the new director and he's going to do a movie. Dude, here's the
because
movie.
before it was he's gonna do Dawn of the Jedi.
Yeah, let's get.
It's like, okay, well,
here
what
it
does that
is,
mean?
And give us
Right.
a little bit more of like, and here's some early storyboarding stuff. Like, here's Mangold's doing a movie, great. Here's the title, cool, and also here's your three main cast. Welcome out, boom. We don't need to know anything about
Wow.
them, but like.
That'd
So-
be huge.
So I don't know that would happen by celebration based on just time period, but like
Yeah.
that is my hope for. Let's have the announcements be
A little more definitive.
more definitive, where it's not just even, because it used to be. It's funny. It used to be something at a at a Comic-Con or at a celebration or at a
Mhm.
Disney Plus thing. It used to be just, oh, Kathleen Kennedy comes out there, or Bob Iger, or
and Favreau and
yeah, and they come out and they say, Taika Waititi's doing a movie, and we went, whoa! But now we find out there's not a whole lot of stake in just saying that.
Yeah, right.
So unfortunately, that doesn't move the needle for me much anymore. Of like
Yeah.
just
No.
hearing an announcement about that.
no.
What makes it more concrete is obviously once we eventually get the footage, it's super concrete. But I always feel like it's a little more concrete when cool. And also, guess what? Here's the cast. So like save the moments
Or
to
even just the lead role is
because
by,
like we got super
Yeah.
excited about, obviously Force Awakens is a special thing, but there was cool stuff they used to trickle out about Force Awakens way before they ever had footage.
Yeah.
Remember the famous black and white, they're all sitting in the circle
Yeah.
reading the script? Like that got us super, whoa, we actually see in the same room.
Yeah.
Here's Mark
Yeah.
Hamill.
yeah.
Here's Carrie, or here's Harrison. That's Adam Driver. I've seen him in like small things.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's
Yeah.
interesting. And then you get to start going, ooh, and why is Adam Driver sitting next to him? And like there was just this fan speculation of, you put out a little thing, you can speculate about, even if it's like, oh, so and so on lot. Like it feels way more real when you see, oh, here's the picture of Daisy Ridley at Pinewood Studios with a cup of coffee, but she's in London. Oh, they must be filming stuff. Like that stuff feels more concrete than just at the next celebration. Guess what? So and so gets a movie, because then we immediately go to, well, what possible year is that going to come out in? Because
I think they might lean back toward that because we've had some announcements that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I wonder, as time goes by, there's certain things can't happen. Like between episode 4 and episode 5, you got nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
It's because there's nowhere to put anything. You
Yeah.
read magazines, you get little trick. But I'm a kid. I didn't read that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like and if I'm remembering correctly, Force Awakens is pre-Disney Plus. Is that right?
It was pre-Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
So we
Yep.
don't even get we don't get a trailer. We don't get a screen.
we don't get a
There's no little placeholder
we don't get a
on
special
there.
look.
There's no 2 minutes, but right.
Yeah.
So all of those little glimpses, there's nowhere to put them. You can put them on YouTube, but there's nowhere to really put them.
Yeah.
So they would pop up and they would have here's an image of what they're doing. I'm wondering if because of the nature of Disney Plus and where we are, if
Yeah.
it's harder to do that. Just because if it's there, they're gonna put it on the thing.
What's
Yeah.
interesting in that vein,
I
I
would
actually
love that.
heard
That would be great though.
on Force Center, another Star Wars podcast I referenced a number of times. They had a little thing in a recent episode where they were talking about, it's just interesting the way that news gets spilled even just in the last few years than it did a few years before that. And they were talking about a flashback to just a few years ago. The number one source, they were kind of joking about it, but essentially the number one source for Mando news was Jon Favreau's Instagram. You remember he would just post,
Yes.
he'd post
You'd be like,
he'd post the rifle,
Mm-hmm.
the Mandalorian rifle.
With him and George standing
and
holding that thing.
Yeah, and there would just be a post, and everyone go, whoa, like what? And he would just post it, and there'd be no caption. And then a couple days later, he posts a background actor in a full Gamorrean thing, and they go, and then it'd be a big debate of, does that Gamorrean look like the same build as the Gamorreans from Jabba's palace? And it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But he would just post it. And they were talking
And
about
Filoni would just post his hat and
Filoni posted a little artwork.
picture of director's chair or something.
And
people
now-
were like, "What, is Ahsoka starting?"
They talked about on this podcast that Favreau's last social media post on Instagram was a year and a half ago. He doesn't even post anything about it anymore. So, like, it's different for this movie. He doesn't post and give, like, any of these things. And I'm not saying he necessarily has to. But it would be fun to start getting back into, and I think Skeleton Crew scratches that itch a little bit as far as just the show. But I think Lucasfilm in general, leaning back into a little bit more of the generating excitement, like kind of having its finger on the pulse of the fan base, of trickling a little bit of actually, because like I consider the Favreau stuff, while it's funny at the time, like just the creator is just like posting stuff.
Yeah.
It has that same feel to, I know you follow some of like what James Gunn posts on social media about Superman. Of
He
like,
does.
he
James Gunn
like
does that all the
interacts-
time.
He interacts.
He interacts
He
with
even
social media
shoots
and he'll
down
post.
rumors of like people.
He's
will
like,
be
"No,
like, oh,
that's-
I heard so and so, and
He's
he's
like,
like,
"That's not
he'll
true."
just be like false, and he's
Yeah.
just like, whoa, it's interesting from the actual
That's
creator
awesome.
interacting
Yeah.
with the fans, or
He'll
him.
post of all like he's the one who posts the trailer.
People knew the trailer was coming because on Twitter he just said
He posted
he
it.
said they're like, oh,
Trailer
man,
dropping
the
tomorrow.
trailer's got to be There was like some fan who was like,
It's got to be
based
close.
on what's coming, the trailer's got to be coming close. And like I don't remember the exact thing, but he essentially, Gunn was probably like, yeah, probably within the week. And people were like, what? And then,
And
the
then it
news
drops
came
the
within the
next
week.
day
It's
or
coming, and
something,
like
yeah.
2 days
It's
later, the
awesome.
trailer came. So it'd be fun if like they kind of got. I think that my overall wish is that just Lucasfilm, Disney, with their Star Wars release stuff, kind of did a better job of getting ahead of the. Don't always be okay. Hollywood Reporter announces it, and then all
These
these
things
all
are-
these all these
Yeah.
articles that I
Confirmed,
read
yeah.
are. There's something legitimate to them because these are legitimate trades that are announcing this stuff. And then the end of the article says, we reached out to Lucasfilm and there's no comment on the thing. We're like, how about we comment on it? Like,
Mhm.
Also,
let's get a little bit ahead of this
Also,
and just kind of generate, like, ride the wave of the fan
Yeah.
base to generate some excitement of, yes, Sean Levy is doing a movie
yeah.
and, or like that type of a thing of like, Sean Levy has said,
Yeah.
he's not making it up. This is a director who
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
he's working on it. Now, that doesn't mean that necessarily Lucasfilm has greenlit that it's the next one, and so that's
Right.
why they don't
Right.
want to do that.
Announce something.
But let's kind of get our ducks in a row a little bit. Of,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
let's get some
It's
of
a
the info
little.
out there.
I think it's a little bit like
But it's hard.
being,
Easier
being
said
in
than
a
done.
being, and I'm not to say this of James Gunn, massive, huge, but it's a little bit when you've got a project. Mando at the beginning was a little bit like driving a sailboat. It was
Totally.
didn't
Yeah.
have any momentum behind it. We're not putting a I don't know
Yeah.
$1 billion
Yeah, almost
asset
people didn't know what
on
to think of
at
it.
stake because we don't have anything
Right.
yet.
Yeah.
Now it's like somebody's in charge of that saying,
Mm.
and there's a strategy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but the
Yeah.
strategy when they're saying somebody's saying we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So
At
That
the
could
beginning,
be
it was kind of Favreau
it's
just
a
doing
good-
what he wanted.
yeah, it's a
Right.
good wish
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
because that would be
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that it's just.
I would
there's-
like to see
it's
that,
one of
some
those
more
things
interaction.
That feels like it could generate because I think most people that I've talked to, or just even when we talked about on the show, it feels like the general fan base let's say pre Skeleton Crew, because I do think it's been great seeing people rally around Skeleton Crew
Yeah.
and really enjoy it and spark some
Yeah.
excitement. But we've talked about like, oh, like with the and again, I don't think all of it. I think Lucasfilm has stepped on its toes and for sure has kind of fumbled the ball with some of its release stuff and changing and
Yeah.
then some fallout with directors and creators and writers and stuff. And then there's been the fan base who it's understandable to not like projects, but then there's also, we've talked about, there's been like the actual coordinated attacks on the Acolyte and stuff. That's just a bummer seeing like people root for stuff to fail.
Before it's even been
Yeah. And so
released.
exactly. And so it's swirling amongst all that was just kind of feeling like, man, some of the fun of some of this stuff is getting sucked out of
Yeah.
the fan base and out of the franchise because there's so much that always circles around. Either it feel like every couple of podcasts we either have to talk about, well, unfortunately, this is the reaction of some people are having about this show, or it would just be, oh, unfortunately, here's the writer that fell off of the Ray project, and you would get some of these negative things that it would just be fun to, in this next year, just kind of, I'd feel like it'd be nice to feel like Lucasfilm has steadied the ship as far as, not like that the franchise necessarily has gone way off course or anything, but more of with the film, with specifically the future of the films, feel like we have a clear direction, a clear announcement. I mean,
I don't
Yeah.
know that they do yet.
no, I don't know that they
So-
do
I don't know if
either.
they do.
I'm sure
So
my
my wish might not
that's a
even
good
be
wish.
that we're let in on that. My wish is an internal
There
wish
is
for
one.
Lucasfilm that they get
Get
they
a sense
get
of
the
direction.
clarity they need.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
whether it's a Sean Levy film that's next, or it's the Kinberg trilogy, or it's the Charmin Obaid Chinoy thing is still happening
Yep.
with Ray, or if it's Mangold. Like,
Yeah.
I would love there to be here is not just that we have 5 projects in the works and we'll let you know when we let you know, but let's hopefully by Celebration get a little bit more. I mean, again, that's still months away. Let's get I know everyone's working on it, so it's not that they're not working.
We're wishing.
We're wishing.
Yeah.
We're not predicting.
We're not
Yeah.
predicting. We're
I have a
wishing that we get
prediction.
a little bit
Let's hear it.
of a clear direction of where
I
that
have a
stuff's
prediction.
going.
The
Prediction?
The next. Well, I think Ray is probably more solid than the others. But the next movie announcement that is down the line, because you hear this from all these I think most of these directors are talking about freedom in their
Yes.
creations. I think the
Yeah.
next one is going to be
I think that's it. For
something not set in a particular place that we know, not set in a particular time that we know, but they're telling a story that there's freedom. It's a different part of the galaxy, different characters, different ships, different aliens. It's going to be something new.
Yeah.
But
After you're saying after
Rey's
Mando,
there.
after Rey.
I think
and
Rey
then-
is in there, but the one that's
That could be a little.
I think it's going to be more free, whatever
I think
Yeah.
it feels like now. Again, there's some reports that again I think there's some reports or like some of the articles we've even shared some of the Sean Levy stuff where he's had some quotes
Yeah.
saying my thing is I would like it to be
Yeah, he
I
did.
want my
He
thing
did
to be a
say that.
standalone.
Yeah.
I don't want it to feel like I am just building on characters that have already been
Yes,
established before
right.
me.
Yeah, he did.
And while I love continuing Rey stuff, like I for sure, if you're asking what is one thing a wish, like building off that, I want the Rey, whatever version of the Rey movie, because I know there's been maybe some
Whether she's
variations.
the lead or
She's the lead,
not a lead,
she's the
but
Obi-Wan,
she's in it.
she's
Yeah.
young, she's old. I love the Rey character, and I really love Daisy Ridley as Rey.
Yeah, me
I
too.
want that to happen, so I
Yeah.
don't want that to fall away.
Yep.
But aside from that, I want there to be like if it's a Sean Levy or whoever, even if it's some freedom with Mangold's thing, let some of these great
Yeah.
accomplished film directors, within reason, again, I understand there being hesitancy after Love and Thunder to be like, Taika, or maybe we're
Yeah.
not sure.
Right.
But also, I think also,
What's funny is I
even
think
for
Taika
Taika-
would have been
Perfect for this.
perfect.
That's what I was
for
gonna say is-
Skeleton Crew,
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
like an episode, not
Yeah.
like
I was gonna say is what also
that seems
for
kind of up his vibe.
Time Bandits. It
his-
is basically
Yeah.
skeleton. It's kind of like skeleton.
Yeah.
I don't know if
and,
you all
for,
saw
and
Time
in Taika's
Bandits.
defense
Yeah.
too.
Kinda.
In Taika's defense, Taika did Star Wars before he did
Yeah,
Love
he-
and Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he can do this. He can do. I mean, like he directed those.
He did the finale
He
episode.
directed the finale, the season 1 finale of
Emotional.
Mando,
with-
and it was fantastic.
yeah.
And we've talked. He's done Jojo Rabbit. He's done stuff. So I know
Yeah.
a lot of times
He's not
Yeah.
just the
last
comedy
work
guy.
sometimes gets
Yeah.
scrutinized, and then you
Right.
think about someone based on that. But yeah, I would love some creative freedom for some of these. I mean, I think it's funny, the two shows, and they're different because I think Andor is so sandwiched into what's going on in that main time period that we're actually super familiar with.
Yep.
Right.
But focused and has a freedom because it's with some characters, a lot of them, that
New characters set
that
in
are
a
new,
familiar
yeah.
time, and
and so
Mhm.
the two things the things we know about both Skeleton Crew and Andor, and all you need to do is listen to Tony Gilroy talk about it. He kind of almost like boasts about it. He said Tony Gilroy said in season 2, I got no notes from the studio, and what's funny is Tony Gilroy he has, if you've seen any interviews or anything about him,
Yeah.
he's kind of like, I kind of playfully like to take it like almost a jab at, he's really good. He also knows he's really good. Like he's kind of one of those guys who like,
Yeah.
it's almost like we talked about like a Tarantino or something, not even
Yeah.
comparing the two because Tarantino's whatever, like massive. But
Right.
he's one of these guys who's kind of like, why would you mess, like I wrote that
Yeah.
because it's right. It's right. Like,
Why are
Yeah.
you asking?
so-
I already did that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Gilroy has a little bit of that feel of kind of like, he even said in season 1 of Andor, he's like, I don't even like Star Wars that much. I just wrote a great show. So he's got kind of that feel that like, cool. Like I watched Andor, and I don't care if that's your feeling about it. If that's the product,
Mhm.
great. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be Ryan Johnson in the weeds, be a fanboy of
You
it.
No.
could argue
I
where
liked
George
that there's some
Lucas's
of it.
love-hate falls on
Totally.
the spectrum.
I would say that
Yeah.
he could be a little bit closer to the Gilroy stuff of like, yeah, I,
I
don't
think he's closer to Gilroy than Favreau.
exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Everyone's
So-
a fanboy.
What that kind of shows though is that
He's
they let
Favreau's me.
Yeah.
totally. There's no way that Gilroy obsesses over the.
Oh,
the-
no.
or that maybe he's
No, which
even,
is why he wrote Andor, which
or
he
that
probably has
he's
the least
even-
amount of.
Yeah, and we got
that-
one TIE
There's-
fighter.
I don't know if
Yeah.
Gilroy's
The
seen
whole
the.
show.
I don't
and,
know
and
if
it felt
Gilroy's.
and it
Like,
felt
look at that.
huge because we're like, oh,
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if Gilroy's seen the holiday special. Like, it doesn't,
Yeah,
or if he
right.
does, he's maybe someone who's heard it's terrible, and so he's like, I've heard it's terrible. Why would I watch it? Like,
Right.
that's kind of his
Yeah.
feeling as a creator.
Yeah.
Which is fine because you don't have to have being a massive fan
Yeah,
of
they're all
something
on a
doesn't mean
spectrum.
that you create.
JJ was a
great.
different place.
Yeah.
And
And-
so, yeah.
And so all
Than
that
Ryan
to say,
Johnson.
the consistent thing between Andor and Skeleton Crew, while they're different shows, is it feels like it feels like Lucasfilm, Kathy, Dave, whatever. Of course, they have oversight and they're seeing what's going on. But it feels like watching Andor and watching Skeleton Crew that it was like, oh, this is a creator with a vision. Let them go on their vision. Like John Watts clearly has very good handle as to what's going on in Skeleton Crew.
That's right.
And as much as we love Filoni or love a Favreau or anything, I do
Or a
like
Bynes.
or a Bynes or I like I like when someone who is has a good proven track record to also let them kind of do their thing.
Yeah.
And that's Gilroy showed that with season 1, and now season 2 I get that they're even more like he's like, listen, like I kind of like a little bit of the smugness of kind of like, do I need to prove this again? Like, just let me do my thing.
If you're gonna take
Like,
that,
it's great.
if you're gonna take this big old massive machine,
Yeah.
I want Jordan or Kobe
Yeah, it's like get someone
or
who's
LeBron driving it,
yeah,
who
it's-
know that they got
they
the
kind of
goods.
have a little
It feels a little
arrogance to it.
safer.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Like I want
Yeah.
someone who's on the court to think they're the best at all times.
You gotta have this swagger.
and know of it. And so
Yeah.
because of that, sometimes you come off as a little bit cocky or a little bit of,
Mm.
but so
Yeah.
that's to say, and I think John Watts talking to him has a very different personality than a Gilroy, but I like that
Fits with their what he
it fits
did.
with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to take that and moving forward, I would like what Gilroy has been given for Andor or John Watts has been given for Skeleton Crew
To carry
to
over
have
into
a
the
little bit.
films.
Now I get it. Star Wars is a film franchise.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
next Star Wars movie is going to be Mandalorian and Grogu. But after that, I get them being like, yeah, I get Lucasfilm being like, we want to get
wanna
this
make it right. Yeah.
But in that, I think the getting it right can be also in the in the selection process.
Yeah.
Let's get it right. But then once we've greenlit, okay, here's where we're going, let's let that person have their flair, their style. Gilroy has a very specific style of storytelling that's very different than Skeleton Crew. That's different than Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
That worked really well. And John Watts has
I-
a specific storytelling. So I would like that to transfer into the films a little bit instead
Yeah.
of I think we get
Yeah.
so like almost like so nervous of messing this up
That
we've been afraid to pull the trigger and getting a little
That's
gun
exactly what
shy.
it feels like. Well, I mean, that's what's
Playing
happened.
not to lose.
That's what's happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where
I
Star
hope
Wars
they
was
learn.
built on taking big swings. Like that's how it started.
That's
Yeah.
right. And I hope they learn from Skeleton Crew, not in the formula, but in the idea that you tell a good story.
Yeah. Character
Right.
It's
first.
got to
too.
Right.
be emotional, and you got to tell a good story.
Right.
If you do that, if it's emotional, you tell a great story. I think it's going to
Yeah. Absolutely
it's
right.
going to work. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the name or who's in it or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
In fact, Star Wars has been notorious for
launching people you never heard
launching.
of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know Harrison Ford at the time. I'd come to find out, he was Apocalypse Now. I'll find
Yeah.
that stuff out
Yeah.
later. But we didn't know Carrie Fisher or Mark
No.
Hamill.
Yeah.
No.
None of them.
Daisy Ridley.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
No.
I mean, even Adam
Driver was in some
Driver's now,
things,
like,
but-
Not at
Adam,
the
I mean, like
time.
this Adam Driver
it
is someone
launched
that
it. Yeah.
I saw. It was either Scorsese or I think it was maybe Scorsese was talking about Adam Driver because was he in the? Did Scorsese do the Adam Driver? Is it called Silence? I'm trying to think what the movie is. It's a.
I didn't know him at the
this.
time. He might have.
But he's.
Yeah.
I was
When
gonna
I
say
was an adult,
since
know.
though. Yeah, I didn't know who Adam Driver was at the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
since then, Adam Driver's gone on to do all
He's
these
done
big
he's
projects
done
with big
tons of
people
stuff.
with
Megalopolis.
and but with like I've heard other. I think it was Scorsese who was like Adam Driver
He's done a ton. yeah.
is as good an actor as there is alive today.
Mhm.
Like, so you have these guys that have been launched into even Daisy. Like she just did.
Oh yeah.
She did her I don't remember what the movie is called. She's like talking about is the woman the sea the
Oh.
the,
Yeah.
that people
yeah,
are
yeah.
saying is phenomenal.
It was unbelievable.
yeah.
Even Boyega.
If you haven't
I mean,
seen
John
it, it's
Boyega
fantastic.
was-
It's
yeah, I
fantastic. You guys-
haven't seen it yet. I heard it was great.
My youngest to my oldest.
Yeah.
To me, I'm the oldest who loved it.
Yeah. So they get the great. They have no shortage
Do
of
we?
talent.
How about this? Okay, so we're gonna run out of time. But prediction: Do we get an actual show that wasn't on the radar, or something that just dropped,
Live action.
or
This
animation
year?
or something?
This year,
like
I
they,
think so. Yeah.
like
You mean
they did
that
with-
they release, or you mean that they announce like here's a thing that we haven't talked about that's
Boom.
coming soon?
Here's 6 episodes of a
Ooh.
show. We did that last
Oh.
year. What was the show last year? What was it?
It
was
was-
it Was it
Tales of the Jedi the first
It was
time I think
Tales
was
of Jedi?
like 2 years ago was like basically almost
It was
out of nowhere.
It
It was
was
Here it
pretty
is.
was
It was
pretty
like,
quick.
oh, by the way,
I thought they did one
well,
last year.
Tales of the Jedi last year was we knew
Tales
it
of
was
the
coming.
Empire.
Tales of the Empire.
That
we
was
was
it.
surprised.
We knew it was.
We knew it was coming.
Season 2 of
We
Tales
knew
of
it
the
was
Jedi
coming,
gonna
but
come.
it was boom. It's coming out next month.
Here it is, and they're all
That's
there.
what it
yeah,
was.
here it is. It's
It was.
done.
Oh, by the way, it's done. It's coming out next month.
Young Jedi Adventures was pretty quick too.
Young Jedi Adventures I think was quick.
I just
I
feel
don't
like
know
they
if we
might-
get like
Vision
a surprise
stuff was
drop.
like announced, but then I think Vision season 2 was quick all of a sudden.
I
yeah.
think we might.
There's another one
My
that was like, oh, it's
my
coming.
prediction is we do get something around Celebration that we didn't know about that they
The
put
Lego
on.
stuff was fast.
Lego. Yeah,
Lego
I
That
think
was
there'll be.
fast.
I think
Rebuild the
there's
Galaxy,
something.
I think was fast.
They kept close. That
You think it's animated?
my prediction? I think so because it's
Okay.
a little easier to keep that in.
Yeah.
All the animators work in their little holes, and then they do the
Yeah.
voiceover
You don't-
stuff.
you don't,
animate
yeah.
it, and boom.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I know it takes a long time, but you know how people come
It's
and go
not a
from the
leak.
set.
Yeah.
and
Right,
people-
right.
It's not a leak of. Oh, we got.
You know the build stuff.
Here's a picture of
You know what I
Matthew Wood who voices General Grievous on set, and they caught him. And
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
look,
yeah.
there's an actual
there it
X-wing.
is. There's James Arnold Taylor.
Yeah.
That means
They
Obi-Wan's
show
doing
up
a
one
like,
day
you
to
can
the
sneak into
voice
booth.
work.
Why
go
do
home
these
and
guys
they
do?
just animate it.
Why
I
do these
think.
guys do voice work even remotely now?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
they
like
do.
it's.
They do.
I
don't
think
even
we
know.
get an animated something.
I think an
that
animated
drops,
something
like, full
because there is that gap post. Not even gap like in the story, like gap
I think
in
we'll
our
get-
fandom of like after Bad Batch was done. Like I'm
Mhm.
itching for some animation stuff because
Mhm.
they crush it on the animation side.
And they've totally figured out the Clone Wars animation is just incredible.
Yeah.
Also, no word whatsoever on if Tales of the Empire was the end of the Tales of the stuff. It's
Tales
actually
of
been a
the-
little while now, and
Yeah.
um,
They're just gonna keep going. Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Tales of the
we
Oh.
speculate
Tales
that
of the Hunters.
That would be awesome. Tales of the Bounty Hunters.
that would be cool.
Tales
I'm
of the
trying to think when
Hutts?
did Tales? When did
What would be the
Tales of
worst?
Hutts?
Tales
It's
of the
literally-
droids.
It's literally the Hutt's
That's all it is. This
It's just
3-minute
the
episodes.
Hutt's Tales.
see
Question
here.
mark. Whose tail is this?
What
It's gotta
was
be
the,
0.
It's gotta be.
It's definitely 0.
Is that one of
It
the
is 0.
twins from Boba Fett? The one that was bathing in. The one
trying
that's
to see.
bathing in Skeleton Crew.
Tales of the
When did
Pirates.
Tales of the
Tales of the
Empire come
Hutts.
out?
Tales of the Huts.
Tales of the Empire,
Tales of the
of
Pirates.
course. Tales of the Empire came out on May the 4th,
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
So I wonder if at the very
That was
least,
kinda
I think it.
It kind of popped up there.
And those are
Out of
short,
nowhere.
they're
Yeah.
short episodes,
Mhm.
and there was what 6 of them. I mean, that can't take
I think it was
a long time to make.
Not as long as a-
four or six,
No.
yeah.
Andor. Season
Tales
2.
of-
Not as long as even just like a normal like Clone Wars season.
Right.
They're long. Clone Wars is longer
It's
episodes.
a nice little April.
They're-
It's a nice little May the
Yeah.
4th gift.
Yeah.
I think
Episodes,
they'll. I
yeah.
think my prediction is we get something like
and there
that.
can't be that's got to be extremely low budget
Mhm.
for 6 episodes that are 15 minutes long.
Well, even the Vision stuff is more. It's more. Everybody do your own thing
At
and
one
then
same
show
time.
up.
Yeah, yeah,
so
it is.
maybe.
It
So
is.
Tales of the Jedi.
I
all
definitely think we'll
dropped
get more
on-
visions.
Tales of the Jedi dropped the first season on October 26th, 2022,
Okay,
and then May the 4th, 2024
you got Empire.
was Tales of the Empire being released. So I would think this year
Young
getting
Jedi
an
Adventures.
announcement on a new Tales of the something
Mhm.
would make sense if they're going to continue it.
Yeah.
I would think that announcement would have to come this year. In 2025, that's a full, even just a year post the release.
I think we might get it.
I
I
think
think
we
they
get
might
it.
do
Something.
hey.
But I would also like the next multi-season animation show.
Yeah.
I
Would be
do too.
fun.
That's what
Whatever's the
An
next.
announcement.
I'm not saying they're necessarily doing another
That's what
Clone
I
Wars
want.
where we're gonna get 7 seasons or
It's
even
just,
a Rebels with
it's
4.
just-
Right.
It's
Bad
Alpha
Batch
and
was
Omega.
3.
I would
It's
like
just
to
Alpha
get something.
and Omega. It's Boba and Omega.
That would be awesome.
Remember how we
Just
thought
sitting
for
around
sure
playing
that there was gonna be
checkers.
some
There has to
connection
be
there
some-
as far as just the the connection was that
She's last.
they're technically brother and sister, I guess.
Yeah.
But
That's a huge drop in that. Didn't go anywhere.
they
Yeah.
kinda didn't.
Omega.
But-
yeah. Anything
Live
else?
action Omega.
Silent. I was
Anything
waiting for
else?
it to-
Boba.
Yeah, I
Anything
mean,
else?
my
Before we
last,
wrap, we got to wrap.
my
so
very last. So we'll do this 30-second
Yeah.
Star Wars wish is well, I would just say I would love the so this was kind of tied into it. Just the Rey. So one last thing on the Rey thing.
Yeah.
I hope that the Rey, because she said that there's the new films. She had some comments about there being some announcement.
films.
I hope that there's an announcement on the clarity of the direction of the Rey movie in particular.
Yeah.
Sometime in the next few months, because she teased that like
Films.
there's
plural.
that she teased, and even if it's just one.
I
like,
think we'll get an announcement.
It's been out there for a while now, and then there's new there's new writers coming in, but then there's the Kinberg thing, which then suggests that Rey's a part of that.
Yeah.
Whatever the change is, I'd love us to just hear of what that is and
set
have it be
and
a little
tell us.
bit more.
I think we'll get a
Yeah.
trilogy announcement.
You
Could
do.
be,
I think so. I think we'll get a trilogy announcement.
but then that makes me wonder if the Mangold thing's happening because of just how much time
It would
takes
have
to
to
make
be
movies.
It would have to be the way they scheduled the Star Wars stories, like the Rogue
Mhm.
One in between the trilogies, because Star Wars is a trilogy franchise. They have been, and so it feels like we've heard the reports about how they've said Daisy's our biggest asset right now. You know, the core of the Skywalker saga is our biggest
Mhm.
asset, and we know people obviously want other things. So I think they'll still do those other things, but it'll be implemented in the same strategy that they had the Rogue One drop and the Solo drop, where it's in between the
Other stuff?
the trilogy.
Could be.
That's what seems to make sense in terms, because otherwise, if they do all of these one-offs that keep getting rumored, like if they have a Lando, if they have the Mangold, if they
Yeah.
have just a solo Daisy Ridley movie.
Yep.
They got Mandalorian and Grogu. Maybe that's the announcement. Maybe that becomes a trilogy. If they have all of these things in the works, based on timeline, there is no room for trilogy if they don't do it that way.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's we might get to a trilogy, but that's after 5 movies that have announced.
Mhm.
That also doesn't feel. I don't think they'll do that either. I don't think there'll be 5 more. I don't think there will be 5 more Star Wars movies before a trilogy is announced.
Mhm.
I feel like they'll have a trilogy announced, and then those will be.
I think
in
the
between.
next Star Wars movie that would be the most surprising would be if they said, "Guess what? After Mandalorian and Grogu, actually Lando's coming out." So it does not feel like that ever. That
I don't
project's
know if
ever
Lando
coming.
will ever happen.
I don't think it is.
Yeah.
But it's funny
No,
because even
no.
that's hanging out there with Don Glover's like, yeah, we're working on the script now, and now it's a movie. And I'm
Actually-
kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Yeah.
feels like that's coming even within the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Because
I
that
don't know if that's.
Mangold, Patty Jenkins said like a few months ago that she said that now that I'm done with Wonder Woman, like I'm getting back to working on Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
And people were like,
I thought that was.
I was almost
Well,
like
I
I was
could be
almost
doing-
like
I could be working on a Star Wars movie.
I know. I was gonna
Doesn't
say
mean they're gonna make. They're
was
gonna
gonna
make
say-
it. I could.
And
yeah.
Kath is like, you can work on it all you want.
know.
That's,
Awesome.
that's dead in the
No,
water.
I'm sure they'll be like, we would love to see it.
Yes.
When you have it, bring it. Let's
because
talk.
that initial idea
Yeah.
always seemed so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
They
now
made
I
a
almost
whole-
want to be like,
they made
does
a whole
Lucasfilm know that you're
promo.
working on it?
they
Creatives
made
are
a
the
whole promo.
creative executives are the nicest.
supposed to be
They're
the
the
fastest
nicest
one.
people.
They're super
nice
nice.
people,
Yeah.
but they don't always call you. Like they don't always say, "Let's make the movie," but they're like,
No.
"Oh, this is great. This is awesome. Let's keep talking.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
This is maybe
Yeah.
down the road. Let's keep."
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. I
keep
just.
working. Keep
it-
working.
My
it
man.
wish
seems
is
like
Ryan
Star
Johnson's
Wars-
trilogy happens.
It seems like Star Wars is a trilogy-based
it.
thing, and so I don't know if they go in on Mando or if that becomes the next Daisy Ridley thing or
Maybe.
what.
Maybe.
But to me, it feels like they've been a trilogy. Like they're-
Controversy aside, daisies were the gold. That's
Yeah.
That's.
I
yeah.
think Daisy and
That's where the
depending
money
on the Mando and
Yeah.
Grogu, because Mando and
That's
Grogu
true.
have
I do
become
think
the
Mando and
gold too.
Grogu's-
See how big this gets.
Yeah.
Mando and Grogu's become so big
Yeah.
that, especially from
And
a merchandise,
Favreau
from a
knows how to make a good big blockbuster movie.
Yeah.
so. I think
He's gonna lift
I
Grogu
think
up
that's
on
a
the
possibility
He
stone.
too.
is.
Depending on how that
Ooh.
movie does, I think that's a possibility that the Filoni movie that was announced.
Yeah.
I forgot about the Filoni movie.
that,
we were just
that-
talking, and I was thinking, there's got to be another
no
movie.
room.
I'm
It's
forgetting.
literally been there's been 5. The Filoni movie that was announced and the Mando thing. They kept teasing that this all is going to come to a point.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Mando Filoni thing end up merging to become a trilogy,
Mhm.
and that's all part of the same thing. It's the Thrawn.
It's gonna be a big year.
And I know
It'll
where
be a
Rapmus is the
big year.
last. I know where Rapmus is the last thought on
Because
it.
they specifically said
also-
movie about remnants of the Empire.
I know. It's because Ahsoka season 2 is
Gotta say
coming.
no to somebody.
They said they're filming that.
I think that might be
This
the
year.
trilogy.
The so last things I know we're wrapping. It's also important to remember that Lucasfilm has announced some stuff, and then there's also some that like the big trade papers, Hollywood Reporter and stuff has announced that I think is also true. It's just Lucasfilm has not like put its name behind it.
Yeah.
So like Sean Levy, it is true that Sean Levy's working
He's
on
at least
something.
said he
And
is.
he's
Yeah.
even talked about
Yeah.
in specifics sometimes.
And that's what Darth's saying in the chat too.
But
Yeah,
Lucasfilm's
Levy.
never talked about it because they've never said
No.
that that's happening. But it's so for sure we know he's had meetings with them.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's probably that meeting of like, great, like write
work on
something.
it.
I would like the idea, write
Yeah.
out, work on it.
Yeah.
But then I kind of like maybe he's also maybe kind of using his influence. Like the more he talks about it, his can go to the front of the line.
True.
Some
Yeah,
momentum.
just because they're not talking about it,
True.
he's getting
In
excitement.
his mind, he's like, let me ride the coattails of Wolverine. And
Yeah, it's
of
like that thing
Deadpool
just
and
made
Wolverine.
$1.5
Let's get-
billion dollars.
Yeah.
But you've got stuff that's either been officially or unofficially announced that we know is out there. They haven't said is done. That they haven't said is not happening. Is
Yeah.
we've got the Levy. We've got these are so not counting
Remnants
Mando
of
and
the
Grogu.
Empire.
Remnants of the Empire. We've got the New Jedi Order with Rey. We've
Mangled.
got Mangold. Now we have the officially announced, not by Lucasfilm but by Hollywood Reporter, confirmed Simon Kinberg trilogy. He said he's doing a trilogy. We just don't know what it's about yet. And then we also have Donald Glover saying Lando movie. And then we have Patty Jenkins saying she's back in the Rogue Squadron. There's 8
So,
projects right there.
Instead
That's
of
8 and
picking
one's
the
a
exact
trilogy.
one, we're just gonna be spraying here.
Yeah, it's just like whichever. What if they're just like, hey,
See what
all of you write a
sticks.
script. Whoever has it on my on my desk by Monday morning gets a movie.
And they're gonna make a TV show about how they made the next Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like The Offer.
It's gonna be
It's
this
gonna-
special look.
exactly.
Yeah.
Nate, where can the people find us?
So
Besides,
anyway,
right here.
I do think we'll get a trilogy announcement. Hopefully,
That'd be
that's
awesome.
a wish.
Or
for
just
this
maybe
year.
the announcement is that Lucasfilm finally comments on the Simon Kinberg trilogy
what I mean.
announcement. Like
I want an
that they
official.
wait, but let's have them talk about it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Make-
it's
make
maybe a
it-
celebration. He's out there on stage, but it's not just like a. And then he gets 3 movies, and then you see those 4 guys in the background. They've also been announced for movies.
Yeah.
And then you see Lando's up there in the balcony saying, "Remember my movie?"
He's still
And then-
talking.
my movie.
You see Ryan Johnson with the knives in the back.
What's he on about?
He's got it. So
Yeah. So I
it'll be
think
cool.
He's on about this movie.
I'm
I'm waiting.
waiting for my
for my movie.
Brutus gets a movie. Brutus. Oh, the Brutus spinoff movie.
I want to see Brutus directing with a headset on.
We all know Brutus is a great
Is a
DP.
capable-
He's
He's a
gonna
capable
be-
director.
He's gonna be some principal photography, Brutus, but he's not a director. That's,
He's right. He's right. I've never had a
He's
big budget franchise
He's in
before.
the camera.
Brutus.
Cut. Cut.
All right.
All right. Well,
Man.
there you have it. There's some wishes for
Wishes.
Star Wars
predictions.
2025 for the new year,
Yes.
and a little Skeleton Crew episode 6 recap. If you made it this far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and smash the notification bell. We'll catch you guys in the next one, and as always, may the Force be with you.
What's he on about? Why don't we just kill him already? Why don't we just kill him?
And there's no treasure. You'll be getting this.
Brutus.
What's he on about?
I hope they announce that Brutus is directing a movie.
He also-
He's directing.
The words.
we did that. You think he's gonna die? We didn't predict that. Is Brutus gonna die in the next?
I'd
episode?
see.